My name is Sylvia Moore. I'm an associate professor here at the School of Arctic and Subarctic Studies at the Labrador campus in Labrador. And I'd like to just start with a land acknowledgement. So the Labrador campus of Memorial University is situated on the homelands of the Innu and Inuit, and we recognize their ancestral and continued ties to these lands and waters and uphold the inherent rights of Innu and Inuit for access to and self-determination in research, education, and reciprocal knowledge sharing. And I'd also like to recognize the learning that we do in relation to all aspects of land and fulfill our responsibilities to the land. Now, before we begin our presentation, we're just going to all introduce ourselves and then it will come back to me. So maybe just in the order that we're listed here, starting with Doris. Could you introduce yourself?
I am Doris Dicker. As it says under my picture, I'm a teacher and also a master student of Arctic and Subarctic Futures.
Hi, everybody. My name is Natalie Jacque. I'm also a teacher in Nunatsiavut. I teach in Makobik, and I'm also a master student in the Arctic and Subarctic Futures program. And yeah, I have 2 boys, and I kind of enjoy drum dancing in my spare time.
And I'm Alex Sawatzky. I am an artist and adjunct professor, as well as special projects manager at the School of Arctic and Subarctic Studies at the Labrador campus.
Hi, my name is Ola Andersen. I'm a retired teacher who is currently pursuing a PhD from the Arctic and Subarctic Futures program, and I'm happy to be here with you all.
And unfortunately, Jodie Lane wasn't able to join us for the afternoon session. If you were in our morning session, you would have seen her in that. Jodie is the Director of Education for the Nunatsiavut government, and she's a PhD student in the Arctic and Subarctic Futures program. And her part of the presentation today has been pre-recorded. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. This presentation is based on the course People, Place, and Identity, so SASS 6001, which I was honored to be able to develop the course and teach it with the first cohort of the graduate program here at the campus. And the students who are with us today are some of the students in that program. The course is intended to honor and bring together different worldviews and life experiences, and also to look at connection to land and how land and place inform our identity and our sense of who we are. So my approach to this course was to facilitate the learning and to guide the students in a learning process, but to also acknowledge that there's reciprocity in the teaching and learning for all of us who were involved in this course. One of the challenges in the course was to make sure that there was an opportunity for mutual respect and bringing together different knowledge systems and cultural ways of knowing, doing, and being. As a university instructor, I couldn't possibly have taught the cultural knowledge that was part of this course or that students brought into the course, but rather I saw my responsibility as setting up a framework for learning and to guide that learning. That also brought in the traditional aspects of academic and post-secondary kinds of learning, but also to ensure that there was not only a place for, but a very important centering of Inuit and Innu knowledge and Indigenous knowledge in general. part of what I saw happening in this course was an unlearning. So by the time students get to grad school, I think that they've become well-established learners in the colonial institutions of formal learning, and they know how to be good students within that system. But what we were asking for in this course wasn't necessarily to be a good student by those standards, but rather to be a student who was able to express and feel comfortable sharing in whatever way they chose to share their lived experience and their deep insights and cultural critical reflections on their connection to land and how they were learning and expressing the ways that they had relationships with land and how it was informing their sense of who they were. So in this course, I asked students to develop portfolios as a way of creating a very flexible framework around assessment. But most of all, I asked that students demonstrate what it was that they were learning. So rather than me asking them to submit or to write, for example, certain kinds of things, but rather to ask them within this framework of portfolios, how are you choosing to demonstrate what you're learning in this course? And there was a section of portfolio after each of the 3 weekend intensives that are part of this course. So it runs over 3 semesters. There's a weekend intensive in the spring, one in the early fall, and one in the winter. And after each of those, students submitted portfolios that were visual as well as writing aspects that demonstrated what they had learned. And at the end of the course, they were asked to present their portfolios in a way that they chose, again, to demonstrate their learning overall in the course. So my responsibility as an instructor was to guide the learning. Their responsibility was to demonstrate what they had learned. And then Alex will speak a bit about her role in it, and then each of the students will speak to what it was that they decided to do and how that demonstrated their learning. So I'll turn it over to you, Alex.
Thanks so much, Sylvia. I was really delighted to be invited by Sylvia to work with her and this group of amazing students to think about how we could support thinking and developing ideas for demonstrating learning in this way, or in many ways. So I hosted 2 sessions, different points throughout the course in between the 2nd and 3rd weekend intensives, one in the fall and one in the winter. And we called them arts-based representations of learning sessions. And together, the 2 sessions had the goal of reflecting on learning, exploring identity, and generating ideas for the final portfolio presentations. It was my hope that during and after these sessions, students would begin generating some ideas and sourcing inspiration for their final portfolios. So first, what are arts-based approaches? They're both a practice and a process that can be defined as the use of artistic skills, processes, and experiences as educational tools that foster learning within and across disciplines and domains. And they can be used to demonstrate thinking in various art forms, such as visuals, music, movement, smell, and many, many other ways, and can also help us learn, make, express, and think creatively and differently about what we know and how we know. And I want to preface all of this by saying I am very much a learner in this space as well. I am not formally trained in art or in arts-based learning, but I use art and visuals as ways of understanding. And I've done that through my own research, and I bring that experience and skills with me to my work with the Labrador campus. And I've been really, really excited to develop it further and expand thinking about arts-based representations of learning beyond just visuals as well. So in these workshops, I wanted students to be able to situate themselves in relation to where they were in their respective programs, and using the following questions as prompts. First, what knowledge and experiences were you bringing into this program? How and where do you learn best? How have your perspectives on people, place, and identity evolved through this course and related activities? And could you identify moments or activities that contributed to understanding? And in what ways does your identity connect with the places that you've experienced? So throughout all those sub-prompts, the all-encompassing question was, how can arts-based approaches capture the essence of your identity and connections to place? And in the first session, we went through several examples of arts-based approaches that might be relevant to the students as they developed their portfolios. And so I shared examples of visual arts, literary arts, musical arts, textile and multimedia arts, etc., focusing predominantly on Indigenous arts and artists. And then in the second session, we discussed strategies for thoughtful arrangements in gallery displays. And I, again, shared some examples of some aesthetically pleasing layouts from art exhibitions, went over some important considerations when arranging displays, and also discussed how the arrangement of their displays could contribute to telling an overall story about their portfolios and their learning journeys. So in summary, arts-based representations of learning are really powerful because they tap into multiple senses, engage our emotions, encourage creativity, and really provide a diverse and inclusive means of expression. And they facilitate deeper and more personal understandings of complex concepts as well. And that helps to make learning a much richer and more meaningful experience that can be shared beyond just the learner themselves. So that's my little spiel. And I'm really delighted to share. These are some of the amazing gallery style portfolios that the students each created in shadow boxes that are now displayed in the Labrador campus classrooms, and they'll be displayed for a full year up until the next cohort finishes their portfolios as well. So it was a very beautiful afternoon of sharing and reflecting, and you'll get to hear more from 4 of these these students right now, actually. So Ola, over to you.
Hi. So here you would see a picture of me with my shadow box. And when I was trying to think about things to go into my portfolio and into the shadow box, I found it really hard to demonstrate what I knew. So I incorporated QR codes into my portfolio where you can click on the QR code and get actual pictures and videos and an iMovie of my land experiences. I found it really hard to try to think about how I could represent my land experiences. So that was an easy way for me to incorporate it into 21st century learning. I really spent a lot of time on the land. So I spent a lot of time bake apple picking, partridge hunting, and I was really taken back by the word land with a capital letter L. And I intentionally set out to capture what I knew about partridge hunting, about berry picking, into photographs and text. So it was really intentional land-based experiences that I captured, and my Inuit knowledge that could be shared in photos, and a bit of write-up about what I learned along the way. So it was quite intensive, and it took a lot of time to do that. It was a reflective process of my lifelong learning and my experiences as an Inuit person growing up on the land. I felt more engaged with the course, given the freedom to express my representation of what I know in a shadow box. Also in poetry, um, the artistic representation of the drum and the Ulu's a branded drum to represent collaboration, respect, reciprocity, all those concepts dealing with Indigenous education. I'm still analyzing what I know and how I know it, and it's impacting how I would think about assessment and how I am working towards assessment in my PhD research question. So everything that I did in this course, people, place, and identity, has a culminating effect on what I'm looking at in my PhD research. Um, so I'd like to say that it was a comprehensive process, a lifelong process, authentic learning that was really reflective and challenging. So I challenged myself to think outside the box. And also, lastly, I'd like to say that most of the drum and the kamatik and the ulu pieces were made out of recycled materials because I work in stewardship and education and conservation of the environment. So I incorporated part of my work into that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ola. So now I'm going to introduce Jodie Lane's pre-recorded description of her portfolio and her reflections on the course. I'm going to, sorry, I'm going to test out and let me know if the sound is coming through okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jodie Lane. I am pre-recording this message from Makhovik because I'm not able to be there in person today. I am a PhD student in the Arctic and Subarctic Futures program. I'm also the Director of Education with the Nunatsiavut government, and I'm also Nunatsiavut government's representative on the Labrador Campus Academic Council. So I wear different hats all around this whole program and topic. But we're discussing today the People, Place, and Identity course, which is the first course we took in our graduate program. And I think it was designed that way to be like a great opener for us all to get back into the swing of things in terms of schooling. Right off the bat, we knew it was going to be a different course. That first weekend, we sat together in Goose Bay at the pie farm. Just the energy, the respect, the mutual, I guess, excitement about what the future is going to hold and what this course is going to bring. And Sylvia did a great job of making us feel like we already are experts in our respective fields, and that she was there to guide us through this program and to allow us the opportunity to explore and push the boundaries of our learning. It's often something that a lot of students from traditional academic worlds have to unlearn, and that is unlearn the traditional academic expectations and engage in our own reflection and our own writing and be aware of and proud of and not afraid to display our own learning. So much in my undergrad, so much time, and even in my master's program, I was constantly feeling like, what do the teacher, what does the instructor, what does the professor need from me? What do I have to do to earn a certain grade? And this is totally the opposite. We were always encouraged to demonstrate our learning, talk about our experiences, and they were validated, and it was a wonderful experience. And I could see nervousness in a lot of people's body language, I guess, that first weekend, but it lasted very, very little time. By the end of even the first day, everyone was so relaxed. Even the first morning, we were so relaxed. We were carrying on, sharing our learning, sharing our experiences. Everybody was welcoming, and it was just a wonderfully beautiful experience. So right from the get-go, Sylvia gave us her plans for assessment and what that would look like. And immediately I'm just like, where has this kind of a program been all my life? There's a reason I've been delaying starting my PhD, because I was waiting for this program. Just to be able to choose how we wanted to represent what our learning is and know that that will be accepted and embraced. So through our portfolios, we were able to choose ways we wanted to represent. So classmates used embroidery pieces and sewing pieces. And my first assignment back last spring was a photo box, and I spoke about the photos, and then I wrote about those photos and what they meant and how they represented my learning. And we knew right from the get-go that our final project was going to be a shadow box. And immediately I started doubting myself because I'm not an artist. I can't paint, I can't sew, I can't do a lot of things when it comes to art, but I had time to think about it and prepare. But immediately, right from the get-go, something hit me, and I don't know if it was the time of the year coming up, because we were in May, so it was coming on spring and fishing season. And I thought about the smell of smoked fish and the smokehouses. And for some reason, it stuck in my head that I wanted to incorporate smell into my shadow box. And so I was a long time, the whole fall and into the winter, thinking about how I'm going to incorporate smell into my shadow box. And as you can see, when you look at the picture of my one, the in the foreground is a smokehouse. And in that smokehouse, the fish that are hanging from the drying rack is made from the pictures from my original photo box from my first assignment. And they are all pictures of things that smell wonderful to me. So there's boughs from the tent floor, there's pitzik, there's smoked fish, there's the salt water, there's the campfire or boil up fire, all of these different smells that resonate with me. The remaining pieces of my shadow box are, I guess, are the overall feeling of smells in my favorite time of the year, which is that like the ice is just gone, the fish are coming, it's springtime, the ground is thawing out. My very favorite smell in the entire world is freshly thawed out ground. So that's where the clothesline is. Freshly dried clothes is a smell that I love, and it's on that freshly thawed out ground. And then the pictures of the pieces of clothing, as well as the hills in the background, are also pictures from my original piece, my original photo box. So I was just blown away when I actually sat down, and because it was being planned. I knew I wanted to put smell in there. But I didn't know how it was going to look until I actually sat down to start putting it together. I had my basic ideas. And so the berry bushes are also in the bottom of my smokehouse, and it was going to be behind glass. So I was struggling with how am I going to get the smell of those berry bushes or the smoked fish into this when it's all behind glass. So what I did was I thawed out some smoked fish that we had in our freezer, and the oil from the skin and the smell, I rubbed it on the outside of the frame. So my frame looks a little dirty and it looks like it needs to be cleaned up and polished, but that's where the smell comes from. And it doesn't last very, very long, but it was enough to, when we had our opening, that people could smell the smoked fish when looking at my shadow box. So if it wasn't for Sylvia's encouragement of just, you guys do what you want to do, and you show me how you have learned, we wouldn't have gotten all these beautiful pieces. You're seeing a couple here, myself and Ola and Doris and Natalie's, but everybody's was so amazing and their stories that came along with it, and the pride and the momentum that it for keeping us going through the rest of our work that we're going to have to do. We can draw back on this now, and to know that these pieces were valued in such a way that no academic paper can really can really measure up to it. And it's just really a refreshing thing for students to have these courses that brings a balance. I mean, we still need to write our papers. Yes, we still need to do other forms of assessment, but this just a way of acknowledging that we can talk to one another and learn from one another in multiple ways. So I was very surprised by what I produced, but ever so proud of all of my classmates and what they did as well, because it was just phenomenal. And I'm really, really honored to have been a part of this original cohort. And I hope that future cohorts will find comfort in knowing that we've gone through it and we survived, and it's beautiful. And hopefully they can be inspired to do wonderful things as well. So thank you for letting me share.
So that was Jodie, and this is her beautiful shadow box. As you can see, here's what in the front, she's talking about the smokehouse. We don't quite have the technology yet to be able to share smell through the screen, but just imagine smelling smoked fish as you're looking at this, and place yourself in Jodie's reflections. So thanks, Jodie. Doris, over to you.
Hi again, everyone. My piece, the frame itself, you might notice that my art piece is different, has different framing and different size from the other presenters. And back when we were told that we were going to be doing this, the art piece in the circle part is it's a kind of a replica of something I did for another assignment. Everything on it is the same, except the original art piece was a Inuit drum. And like Nat, I enjoy playing the drum, and the Inuit drum is like a heartbeat. And for me, the thing that makes my heart happy and makes me feel complete is being on the land and the sea. So in my art piece, you'll notice that the medicine wheel, even though the medicine wheel isn't a part of our Inuit culture, I wanted to acknowledge it as an Indigenous person. So the white represents winter, the yellow represents spring, the red is summer, and the black is fall. So each section shows different activities that I get involved in throughout the year. And in the center is a family camping place, I guess, or a summer and winter cabin. This place brings peace, serenity, and contentment. And it's actually where I went to do some assignments to find peace. So on the yellow part, you'll see ice fishing. Springtime, it's a big activity here in Nunatziavut. The red part is summer. So the orange piece you see on the bottom, this what we call pitsit, dried fish. And above that is the bake apple. We do bake apple picking in the summer. In the black section, which is fall, is the school bell. And I found it important to acknowledge the school that way, as I am an educator, even though I'm a lifelong learner, like we all are, I guess. The thing below the bell is a beef bucket. I represented a beef bucket filled with red berries. Hold on. So sorry about that. Red berry picking is a huge thing for me. It's always plentiful, and it's something that I eat year round. The white section again is the winter section, and one of the main activities during the winter seasons where it is cold, you can't get out and do much, like going off on the land or the ice, but we do a lot of wooding to heat our homes. The frame is made from local juniper wood. With our shadow boxes, I thought outside of the box. And my frame is, I think it was 14 by 14 inches. And it's stained with red berry juice. I decided to make my own frame to challenge myself to see if I could do it. I'm not sure what else I should share. Sylvia?
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Doris.
Yes, thank you, Doris. Natalie, over to you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Natalie. As you can see, I'm standing by my art piece during the day that we presented all of our work, all of our hard work, and how we kind of portrayed our knowledge into this art form. And it was a big challenge. Like the idea of moving beyond academia in a way of just simply paper writing or assessment by test or assignments. The creative side of this kind of a aspect was what really intrigued me, but it was challenging, like we've all kind of mentioned, because it's something that we're not used to. Showing, like, representing what you've learned into artwork is really interesting. And so it does challenge you beyond your comfort zone. And that's kind of where we all went when we created our pieces, and my piece is there. And I did a couple of different drafts when I was coming up with ideas. And so I drew my drafting on simple paper. But for that final piece that you see there that's framed, I actually used the reverse side of the Newfoundland and Labrador's apology for the residential school survivors. And I don't know if you remember, but in the fall of 2023, we had the premier came to Makkovik, and he apologized to the residential school survivors. And those forms that are represented there were big pieces of paper. And there was one in Inuktitut and one in English, and they were dispersed to whoever attended, but they were also given out to the schools among the Nunatsiavut. And I really wanted to push the boundaries and say, how can I display my artwork? And it took me a little while, but I said, yeah, I think I'm going to use that. I think I'm going to use the reverse side of the apology as a way to say, you know what, I'm going to take a little bit of that power back. And it felt a little bit, I don't want to say badass, but sort of like it was challenging. Like I wanted to say, you know what, it was meaningful and it was powerful, and I felt like it was something that I wanted to do at the time. And so that's what I use. I use the reverse of the apology. So that's a closer look at my artwork. I also used a QR code along, like Ola had mentioned. So I have a little bit of sound put into my artwork, and it's the throat song of my sister and I to a song called The River. And the river is constantly flowing. I have the imagery of Inuit hands, an Inuit person's hands braiding various strands. So usually when you're creating a braid, you have 3 large strands. And so my art piece was called Relation Connection 1. And it took me a long time to come up with that title too. I wanted to have three words in the title, almost representing the braid itself. And amongst the braid, if you can see the colorful parts, there's footprints near the top there, the green, there's a crack in the ice with the blue and the white, a lightning bolt, which is like darkness and light together in one, and the river at the bottom. And I didn't want the braid to simply just have the fallen hair. I wanted that to represent the roots underneath the ground. And so the roots represent family and our loved ones. And each piece throughout the braid kind of meant a lot to me as I was learning from the course with Sylvia and with our friends together. It really did feel like a friendship with our course, and the fact that we could just share during our meetings, I don't know, it meant a lot to me. And so I wanted to have that representation of meaning and of flowing and learning into the artwork. And I also included a quote from one of the books that we had learned from through Robin Wall Kimmerer. So that was one of my favorite quotes. I don't know if you want me to read it out loud, the quote. So the quote there on the side of each piece just says, "We are showered every day with gifts, but they're not meant for us to keep. Their life is in their movement, the inhale and the exhale of our shared breath. Our work and our joy is to pass along the gift and to trust that what we put into the universe will always come back." So that was very powerful to me. And the fact that I could do that and represent that on the reverse side of the apology was something that, you know, it felt very, very meaningful. And I don't think I would have been able to do that in many courses because I had that comfort level and I knew that that reciprocity was there and that we could share openly. And it was very, very welcoming and I was just pleasantly surprised that, I don't know, some creativity that you don't think is within you comes out in certain ways.
Beautiful, Natalie. Thank you. And yes, very badass. Sylvia, I'll turn it to you for any closing remarks.
Okay, thanks. Well, just listening to the 4 of you, Natalie, Doris, Ola, and Jodie, and also to Alex's creativity and what she brought in terms of her inspiration and her support of the students. This just gives me cold chills, and I actually went through this whole course with everyone. I wish we could have had all the students here so that you could have heard from each of them, but that just wasn't possible. I'm just so honored to have been the instructor and a co-learner in this whole process, and just appreciate each one of these people joining this presentation today. And we just look forward to some questions from those who are in attendance.
Hand wave, Sylvia. Nice to see you again.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Congratulations on your presentation. It was excellent. A quick question about the shadow boxes. Is there a way that you could share, I guess, all of the shadow boxes that were in your presentation today? Some beautiful work there.
Well, my understanding is that this presentation is being recorded and being put up on the CITL YouTube site. And other photos from the other students who were participants in this course are part of the presentation. Alex showed 2 of the photos that showed all of the students, and more of those photos will go up on the Labrador campus's website when we have everything ready.
Any other questions? Okay, we have one. You're going from the back, you really have to project.
It's Sylvia, I'm trying to project from the back of the room. Great. I thought fantastic program. I was really delighted to hear how you're doing this course, which is a graduate course. And I'm just wondering, I sat in your presentation this morning, and I know you're starting the undergraduate program, starting to roll out. Do you see the ability to use the same type of portfolio experience in an undergraduate setting that you've used in the graduate course?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for your question. And I'm noticing that Doris is nodding her head yes. Doris is one of the graduates from the Inuit Bachelor of Education program that we ran here a few years ago. And she's also a teacher at the school in Hopedale. And I know that Doris also uses portfolios in her high school classes. So I believe that portfolios can be used right across whatever level of education we might be talking about. And I certainly plan to use them in the undergrad courses that I teach for the program.
Do you mind giving your name?
Oh, sorry. It's Carolyn Walsh from psychology. Thanks.
Thanks, Carol, for the question. We have a couple more minutes before I do the closing. Any other questions? Go right ahead.
Just more of a comment. Hi, Sylvia. I know you. It's Andrea from Office of Public Engagement. The rest of you we haven't met yet, but there's more of a comment. One thing that I'm really valuing about this presentation, and that ties into some of the other discussions we've had over the last 2 days, is about learning not being just about collecting new knowledge and opening yourself up to new knowledge, but about starting from a point of learning what it is you already know and recognizing and valuing and placing value on the experiences that you're bringing in with you. And so it's just really beautiful to hear all of these different experiences that people are bringing in, but that you've managed to create this space where that prior knowledge is honored and is respected and is valued the way it should be. So it's really beautiful that this is happening.